welcome to the channel. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Join me for another watch video today. And what do I have for you guys? I do have a rather lovely automatic 36mm watch for you guys. I usually wear bigger watches. I usually wear a lot of dive watches. Ended up purchasing this lovely Seiko 5. I have done a review for this. I will be releasing it in due course. And I absolutely just enjoyed this watch so much, and I still enjoy it. Just something about it that it's just different. Perhaps I'm getting bored, perhaps I'm getting older, who knows. And I've also noticed that there is quite a fair bit of demand for these 36mm watches. As you guys know, San Martin have just released their 36mm Explorer Homage because there was quite a bit of demand for it. So I went to AliExpress. I want to just look at what is out there in terms of this 36mm. There are quite a few watches, but this stood out because it had decent specifications, and I purchased this from the Bliger store. Now, the Bliger store do a lot of stuff. They've got about 5,500 followers. They do modding accessories. They'll do hands, dials. They do a shed load of watches, and I think it is a all-in-one store. So you can see loads of variants of this watch. They do them in 36mm, they do a 39mm version, and they also do a 40mm version. So there is absolutely loads of choice when you go onto the Bliger store, and they do a lot of sub-style homages. They've also got 62 mass style homages. They've also got 6105 style cases. They've got loads, so check out the store. And you can also get their own branded versions. I'll put up some pictures. Some of them do look quite cool. You've got some really nice style designs, so I think it's a kind of really good way to scratch that 36mm itch. Maybe you don't want to spend over £200 on a 36mm watch. Well, then this might be the watch for you. This comes in at £65, which is going to be under $90. I'll put up the exact price there. But yeah, I think it's a decent little watch. Let's have a look at the dimensions and specs. Specs, you got a sapphire crystal. You've got, as you can see, a 316L stainless steel case, and the bracelet. You do have a magnification window at 3. You do have a Seiko Epson NH35 movement, which is why I picked this. You do have other options. You've got the Chinese 2813, you've got the Miyota 8215, and then you've got this NH35. Of course, you'd pick the latter. A much better movement, a lot more reliable, and it is quite up to date. It hacks and winds, beats at 21,600 vibrations per hour, and as you guys know, it has really, really good accuracy. So that, I think, on paper, for the price, it works, right? It looks absolutely great. A really good budget 36mm. So let's confirm the dimensions. So the case is indeed 36mm. The lug to lug is 45.4, and the thickness is 12.3. Now the lug width is 20mm, and that tapers down to, let's have a look, 15.7mm. I like that taper. I think it really does suit the watch when bracelets do have these lovely tapers on there, especially this style of bracelet. Yeah, I went for the sterile version as I plan to modify this watch, which is one of the main reasons I did buy it. Now, the one I've gone for does have this black sunray style dial. It does have applied features. You've got all applied hour markers, that sub style dial that we are used to seeing. And you've got a printed chapter ring around the dial. The markers do have this polished frame, and they seem to be applied quite evenly. I can't see anything standing out that is a bit off alignment. Perhaps the triangle marker at the 12 o'clock might be tilted just slightly, but ever so slightly. And then you do have these baton style chamfered and polished hands, and this seconds hand. Now, the main reason I actually went for this was because of the hands. These hands are not as easy to get hold of on AliExpress. That's what I wanted for the dial that I have in mind. Now, you have a date window at 3 o'clock. The magnification is nothing special. I mean, it works, but I kind of hoped it wasn't there. So it's not as clear as you'd like it. And you do have a well-polished bezel. Now, this is a fully polished case, fully polished bezel. So you will be cleaning it more than anything. And I think this is the trade-off when you go for this kind of watch. You know what? You will always be cleaning it because it'll pick up tiny, tiny micro scratches. There'll always be a fingerprint that you don't want on there. And I think any bits of dust or dirt on there really do show up on this watch. But case is done really well. It is a very smooth case. As you can see here, there's no sharp edges. There's no dents, no defects present. Everything just feels super slick, obviously highly polished and really well done. Caseback is a standard caseback, one of those star-shaped casebacks. There, the brushing on the caseback is extremely poor. It's very coarse, and they've actually gone over the polished ring. No specs, fully sterile, which is what I wanted anyway. Moving on to the crown, no signage at all. And does it work? It is a screw out crown. The water resistance on Bliger's website for this watch is 3 ATM or 30 meters, and it's got a screw down crown. So that's basically saying, you know, we don't trust this watch near water. It is a cheap watch, so don't take it swimming. Splash proof, it might be okay for that, but nothing more. Let's have a look at the Loom. Let's see how good that is. So the Loom, I didn't expect this much Loom, to be honest. I expected it to be quite poor. I mean, Pagani watches are a lot poorer than this. So this is kind of decent, actually. You've got more Loom present on the 12 o'clock triangle, the baton at the 6, and the baton at the 9. The rest of the dots are slightly faded. You've got very, very low level Loom on the hands. You can see it's barely showing. Now, if I just compare that to the Seiko 5 I've got, as you can see, you know, very similar in terms of thin batons and thin markings on the hands, but look how bright that is. So in comparison to the Bliger, obviously I didn't expect much from it, but it's still not as bad as I thought it would be. Now, this style of case, there is not a lot to it. It is quite a basic, quite a simple case with one style of finishing. So there's not much more to talk about with regards to that. Like I said, QC wise and feel in hand is fine. There's no issues with that. Looking at the bracelet, let's start off with the end links. They are solid end links, but you can see a gap between that and the watch case. Now, Bliger will give you multiple options for bracelets, the two being this style, which is this 5-link Jubilee style bracelet, and they also do the Oyster style bracelet. I think the Oyster style has a better fit, because I've seen a few of those. However, it's my first experience with the Jubilee style, and there is this gap slightly around the sides, but definitely when it meets the case. But when you turn the watch around, I'd say that will be down to the spring bars being used. These are those very basic cheap 1.2mm spring bars. If you want to upgrade them to the 1.6mm, I don't know if the 1.8 will fit, but that will definitely improve the gapping issue that you have here. Or you could go for the Oyster style bracelet, but I think this style of watch is versatile enough for leather straps, rubber straps, you know, these steel bracelets. So you could play around with a lot of strap or bracelet options. So the rest of the bracelet is fully solid, and as mentioned before, the taper on this bracelet is really nice, and the links seem okay. They're not as smooth as I'd like it. I think the one here is just slightly stuck, but you know, it's not a overly fantastic bracelet. There is some edginess present to it, but the surprising thing is it does have screw-in links, which I find quite surprising. But you know, these links are also present on the Oyster style bracelet. You've got a standard flip lock clasp with this polished center, so very traditional style clasp. We are all familiar with this clasp, what this clasp looks like, and you do have a 3 micro adjust position, but I don't know how you would get into that because it's not on the fly like it is on the Oyster style bracelet. But yeah, I don't know what to do with this, to be honest. Let's put this on wrist. My wrist size is 6.5 inches, and you know, the fit is just right for this wrist, in all honesty. But as mentioned, I do like to wear bigger watches. Decent fitting to the wrist, very nice. It's not overly heavy, it's actually quite light on this bracelet. The benefit of this kind of bracelet is that they can be quite comfortable. They do conform to your wrist quite well. And there we have this lovely little dial as well. So I think in some of the color versions they do, some of the other design options, it is quite a good looking watch. It does catch your eye. But as mentioned, I bought this to use as a mod, and I think it is a very decent watch to be used for modification purposes. I think it's a great base. But you know, with little things, I wouldn't expect the world from it. I wouldn't critique it a lot because they're giving you something which just about ticks the boxes, I believe. There are other watches that are a lot better for the same price point. I think Cadison pops into my mind. Their build quality on their watch is a lot better than this one. It's all about what you guys like and obviously the purpose that you want to buy the watch. So I might do a video on my watch modification channel where I'll actually go through modifying this watch. So guys, thank you for watching as always, and I'll see you on the next video.